What's going on, everyone? So, it looks like Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks are very likely due for a split this upcoming offseason. So, according to a report per Jake Weinbach, he says Trae Young and the Hawks appear to be on the edge of parting ways this offseason. The All-Star guard has expressed a desire to win, but with Atlanta more likely to hit the reset button after landing the number one pick, Young's new representation under CAA could push for a new home. So remember, he's under CAA now. He's not a part of Clutch. Now, the Los Angeles Lakers, right? Trae Young is very likely going to be a target. He's the guy that I keep expressing I think is most likely to be a Laker. I know many of you are not super sold on Trae. I know a lot of you don't really want Trae Young. I'm not even super sold on Trae Young. Look, he's an excellent talent, right? He would make us better, but fit in him alongside LeBron is a real question mark. Now, like if LeBron were to leave this offseason, or when LeBron retires, like let's say he's like, hey, I'm retiring this year, then yeah, Trae Young makes kind of all the sense in the world, right? As like a young, in his 20s star, something the Lakers don't have, where if you look at all the other big teams around the league, they all have that. But guy that would complement Anthony Davis perfectly. My problem with Trae is he's had seasons where like two years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, he shot like something insane, like 56% from on catch and shoot threes. Like it sounded like a made up number. Like he was lights out on catch and shoot threes. So if he could get back to that and like playoff ball in that regard, then sure. Right? A lot of the time, I imagine he would have the ball in his hands. Maybe LeBron is willing to kind of let Trae, because Trae is this, superstar type player in the league. LeBron kind of seems willing to kind of take a step back, but he said that for years, right? Would he really be willing to do that? I don't know. And during crunch time and stuff, you got to imagine the ball's probably going to be in LeBron's hand as opposed to Trae. It kind of begs the question of like, can those two mesh and work together? Now, if they do mesh and work together, then I think good luck, right? Because, I mean, Trae would solve a lot of the Lakers' just needs, an ability to score, his ability to play make outside of LeBron James, right? Him and Anthony Davis, I think, would make for quite the duo, quite the pairing. Also gives us a piece for now and post LeBron, but even a piece post Anthony Davis because Trae is still so young. I also think that the market is going to be incredibly thin for Trae, right? There are several teams that are in the market for a point guard. You know, you've heard teams like Orlando, the New Orleans Pelicans, San Antonio, right? There's teams that are interested in a point guard. I mean, even D'Angelo Russell on the Lakers is linked to some of these teams. But it's not so much that like Trae isn't better than like a DeJounte Murray or whatever. It's just that he's a high salary that most teams would have to sell the farm for, us included, right? To go and acquire somebody like him because of his salary. And on top of that, do you have enough to compete? Do you have enough? Is that a place that he really wants to be, to where it's like, we just got him for a year or two, right? Like there's so many elements that go into trading for Trae besides he's a good player, we could use him. Where the Lakers, we know that he's wanted to come to LA. I mean, he's been linked to the Lakers since like he was drafted, right? So him wanting to come to LA, him wanting to be a cornerstone in a big market alongside Anthony Davis, I think would make a lot of sense. Plus, Trae really wants to try to win now and the future, and he'd be playing alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Also, maybe, again, a lot of maybes because you don't really know until you're in the thick of it. But also maybe Trae would be willing to make the adjustments if he was playing alongside a guy like LeBron. Maybe if he was playing alongside a guy like Anthony Davis. It's one thing to be playing alongside DeJounte Murray and you're Trae and you're like, well, I'm the better player, right? Like I should have the ball in my hands and this is my team, as opposed to going to the Lakers that is currently LeBron and AD's team. And it's also like LeBron is probably the only guy, I mean, in Trae's mind, probably the only guy that's better than me with the ball in his hands. And then Anthony Davis, he needs setup anyway, and he's just so great and dominant, and I'm a willing passer. I mean, the guy averages 12 assists a game. Maybe he would be willing to kind of complement those players more, as opposed, again, it's like you got a bunch of role guys and DeJounte Murray, and it's like, I'm the guy still, right? I'm still the best player on the team. It's still my team. It's a big difference, but it would take a lot of sacrifice. So I have my reservations, right? On paper, looks good, right? But it also depends on how else you round out the team. That's most people's concerns, right? Is, oh, well, if you trade for Trae, then you don't have any more depth. I think the Lakers will be fine. I mean, you'd still have your mid-level exception, right? Still have vet minimums. But bare minimum, let's say you go trade for Trae, you're probably looking at, in a perfect world, D'Lo opts in. You go D'Lo, side note, I should mention this too, because I know Atlanta didn't want D'Angelo Russell at the trade deadline. That was a big talk. That was a big conversation, right? Well, things have changed for Atlanta. Atlanta wants to dump salary. They basically want to hit the reset button. They want to rebuild. And they want to rebuild and retool around the number 1 pick, Jalen Johnson. So now they're open to acquiring a guy like D'Lo because he would be on an expiring contract. And they didn't want to put D'Lo alongside Trae, right? But if they trade Trae and they trade DeJounte Murray, then they'd be willing to take on D'Lo. They could even try to trade him later on, or they could kind of just use him as their point guard for now. And if it works out, maybe they even re-sign him because D'Lo is still relatively young. But the idea is now they want to basically tear it all down, so they'd be more willing to take on D'Lo because they're not going to try to pair him along Trae, where it's like, we don't want D'Lo because DeJounte and Trae didn't work. D'Lo and Trae isn't going to work. So just a little side note. But back to actual depth, right? The Lakers would be fine, right? Because you'd have obviously the big three of Trae, LeBron, Anthony Davis. You'd still have Jared Vanderbilt. You potentially, depending on how things shake up, you could keep Austin Reeves, but you're probably trading Austin Reeves. So to me, I'd hope that they again keep Jared Vanderbilt. So you got like the big three. You got Jared Vanderbilt. You got Max Christie. You have Maxwell Lewis, right? You're probably trading this year's pick. You're probably trading the other picks. You got Christian Wood. So you got basically 7 guys right there, bare minimum. And that's not counting if Taurean Prince sticks around. That's not counting if, Jackson Hayes sticks around. That's not counting if Spencer Dinwiddie sticks around, right? That's not counting if these other guys stick around and whatever you can get in free agency. And on top of that, you could still, because Lakers would need like a big man, they need a couple things. Got your mid-level exception that maybe go get a Valanciunas or something. Not really worried about the depth. Also, if you look at teams like Boston, I mean, even Dallas and these guys, right? Like, a lot of top heavy, right? All the teams that were successful in the playoffs were all pretty top heavy, right? And what was the common denominator for us, then Denver, then Minnesota, and now Dallas? Is that when the role players showed up, they won. Role players show up against us. Denver wins. They don't show up. Where was Michael Porter Jr.? Where was Aaron Gordon? Where was KCP? Even Jamal Murray, right? They don't show up against Minnesota. Minnesota wins. Minnesota role players show up against Denver. They win. They go up against Dallas. Dallas's role players show up. Denver's doesn't, or Minnesota's doesn't. And Dallas wins. They go and play Boston. First 3 games, where is everybody? Outside of Luka, right? I guess 2 games because Kyrie was good in game 3. But role players don't step up, don't show up. No one shows up. And now they're down 3-1. And more likely than not going to lose the series, right? I think the series is over. Maybe Dallas will be the first team ever to do it. Fingers crossed. But realistically, series is over, right? So to me, it's like, if you can you just need 5 to 6 bona fide guys that game in and game out, night in and night out, and particularly in the playoffs, can just win you games, right? All the 15 deep and all that stuff. Again, like, these teams that are winning aren't doing that. These teams that are winning are basically 6, 7 guys deep. Yeah, they might go 10 deep in the regular season, right? But their front end talent is what's most significant and what is winning games. So to me, give me the front end talent. Now, last little point, I know because people are going to bring it up. It'll also be good for those that asked this question. I'll know if they actually got to this point of the video. But Trae being a part of CAA as opposed to Clutch. Now, a lot of people are taking that as, that's it, Trae is off the table for the Lakers. Not at all. Right? CAA, you don't think that they're going to want to get their client to LA? Of course they will, right? Like, again, LA, big market, all that stuff. Lakers, you get to be the guy, and when LeBron leaves, now it's your team type thing. CAA is going to push Trae to the Lakers, especially if Trae wants to be a Laker, which supposedly he does want to be a Laker. Just because he's no longer clutch and left clutch doesn't mean that the Lakers aren't going to be interested. And what is the going trend this season? From Rich Paul's voice to LeBron expressing it to the Lakers to everybody. Don't focus on me. Don't build around me. Don't worry about me. Go and worry about Anthony Davis. Build around Anthony Davis. Do everything for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis. What would a Trae Young acquisition be? It would be for Anthony Davis. It wouldn't be for LeBron James. Be for AD. So, I believe if the Lakers can realistically land Trae Young will be a Laker. Whether I like it, whether you like it, whether anyone likes it. If it happens, I'm going to be excited because Trae is a very good player. I'm going to be pumped, right? Let's go. Let's get it, right? Plus, he's going to be a Laker. So I'm always going to support and I'm always going to be optimistic about the Lakers and players that are on the Lakers. But I do have concerns. I do have reservations. And we'll dive into it more in depth if that happens and if that comes. I don't want to spend an hour breaking down the ins and outs of Trae alongside the Lakers and it doesn't end up happening. And now it's well, that video was redundant. So to me, if it happens, great. I'm all for it. We'll talk about it. But you're getting a lot of news right now that's like, Trae's going to be available. Trae's going to be available. Trae wants the Lakers. Lakers want Trae, right? And I think if the Lakers land a star, it's going to be Trae. I think the market's going to be bare, if any. I think, look, there's reports that Donovan Mitchell is going to re-sign and Darius Garland. The Cavs aren't going to trade even if he wants that. If that's true, then I just think that there's not going to be as many options. I think teams are going to be falling over themselves to go get DeJounte Murray, right? Because he's an easier, more obtainable asset for most teams, right? Where they don't have to sell the farm and he's cheaper, right? I'm not talking about salary-wise. I'm talking about asset-wise, not going to cost as much, which could end up being good for the Lakers because if the Lakers are kind of the only team bidding for Trae, right, then they're kind of in a good position where it's like, okay, well, we don't really have to, we are in the driver's seat. Because what are you guys going to do? You're going to keep him? And then he's going to complain. It's just be a mess. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, do you think Trae's going to be he's going to end up being a Laker? He's most likely. Do you think no? Keep him as far away. Again, whether you you got to at least ask yourself this, right? Even if you hate Trae, even if it repulses you and you just want to, run through a wall if the Lakers land Trae. It's about who's the most realistic and obtainable. And it's the Lakers. If the Lakers can get a star, they're going to get a star. If Trae Young really is obtainable for the Lakers, or is a free agent, I believe he'll be obtainable for the Lakers. Again, it's about what is realistic. And I just think Trae Young is the most realistic. That's why I've been preaching about Trae for the last 4 months or however long it's been. It's been a long time, right? Even before the offseason, right? Talked about Trae for a while now. I just think he's the most realistic. Talked about how he's probably going to be available at some point, and he is, right? So we'll see. But anyway, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. However you feel about it, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.